Begin our meeting. We welcome you to our May 17th council meeting. Please stand and join us for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Matt, you want to start us off with a roll call?
Councillor Halter.
Here.
Dolo.
Here.
Savage.
My microphone is stuck.
Yeah, they're all new cables, so don't yank too hard or
I
you
need
might
training.
Here. West.
Here.
Hickerson.
Here.
Zadi.
Here.
Demas.
Here.
Robinson.
Here.
Maricomo.
Here. Councillors, first and foremost, I know we have a lot of business to do, but I think I'm going to start it off, being as that it's that time which candidates are announcing their intentions. I feel I should inform you of my intentions so people can move forward in their lives. It's with mixed feelings that I've made a decision not to seek a fourth term as your mayor. Last week I did inform our department heads of my decision, and I'm a 99.9% surety I won't seek re-election. We have been through several years of turbulent waters over the past 4 years. Declining revenues have made it extremely hard to balance budgets and find funding to keep critical projects afloat. At the same time, we're faced with the COVID pandemic, which was great. Created further decline in sales tax revenues, which our city so greatly depends on. Businesses struggled, and our citizens did their best to stay home and protect themselves from the virus, which took many lives here in our own community. Events were canceled. Businesses were closed due to the requirements set forth by our state and federal governments in order to protect people and minimize the spread of the virus. Upon recovering from the pandemic, we're now faced with a huge increase in inflation, which has sent costs for materials and labor through the roof at an all-time high, leaving very little chance for us to keep up with much-needed construction projects that we are witnessing this budget session as well. I'm proud to say that through all this, we've weathered the storm and we've kept the ship afloat best we possibly can. We continue to deal with an immense budget cuts due to the rising inflation and decreasing revenues, and my fear is that it's not over yet. I fear for the future of our city as we move forward even into next year. We've been aggressive in seeking relief funding from the federal government, yet the funding received can only last so long, and next year will be even worse when we start to balance the budget. It's frustrating. I don't need to tell most of you that, you know. It's a struggle to keep up with providing the services our community needs, maintaining the existing infrastructure we have, and keeping our employees employed. I've served 12 years as mayor, and I'm extremely proud of our accomplishments. I'm proud of our city employees who have worked harder to keep up with less manpower and equipment necessary to meet the needs. You haven't given up, and you continue to do whatever it takes to keep our city in great shape. Please continue doing what you've done. Hopefully better times will come, and better times are ahead. I'm honored to have had the opportunity to be at the helm through these turbulent times, side by side with some of the greatest department heads I've had the chance to work with. I thank the City Council for their help through these unfortunate times. They share the struggles, and I appreciate the support they have also given to our employees. I ask that future elected officials of Rock Springs and our department heads don't lose focus on the important vision of our city. Continue the work to secure the funding for First Security Bank project. We're close to finishing this project, and it must be completed in order to enjoy the benefits which it will no doubt bring to our downtown and the city as a whole. Continue working to secure the funding to complete the Bitter Creek project for the same reasons. This project will eventually remove our downtown from the floodplain and open our city up for new businesses to grow and thrive in our community. Continue to work towards combining resources such as EMS, fire, joint communications. We owe it to the taxpayers to find a better way to provide these services while decreasing costs and avoiding redundancies in our county. I've struggled with this decision for many months, yet I feel after 12 years I've done what I can. We have fixed many problems that existed, which was my main campaign goal and promise over 4 years ago. We have become more efficient at a lower cost to our taxpayers. And as we just mentioned, we're doing today with what we did years back with approximately $7 million less dollars than we had just in recent years. It is a struggle. Continue on with new ideas that will bring new opportunities and keep fighting the battle to secure funding through state and federal grants. We must stay in the battle. If we're in the battle, if we're not in the battle, we have no opportunity to win. I have to thank my family for putting up with the many hours I spend away from them and the stress brought by being involved with politics. I have enjoyed serving this city, but it's time for new adventures. My wish is that the future mayor and council continue the course and be prepared to battle for Rock Springs. Our city and our employees depend on it. You get out of it what you put into it, as you well know, and I feel I've put a lot into it, and it's time for new blood. I pray the future leadership will understand the need to work hard, put in the time, and focus on improving our city. Let's don't vote for those only wishing to take away from what we've accomplished. Let's don't go backwards. We have to go forwards. We have to learn from our past. Let's choose wisely come election time and select leaders who lead and not just have an ego to satisfy. Do your research and use your vote wisely to choose those who want to work to improve Rock Springs, who want to improve the county, and want to improve the state. We need to continue to build trust within our communities. We need leaders. I would hope that we would get some interested and qualified candidates to serve as mayor of Rock Springs, but so far, as of today, that's not been the case. That being said, we still have 7 months to work, so let's go. Let's get started. That's that, councilors. And our next order of business would be, I'd entertain a motion to approve the minutes from the city council meeting of May 3rd, 2022, and the special council meeting minutes of March 28th, 2022, April 20th, 2022, and April 27th of 2002.
Move to approve.
We do have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second's been called. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, we have several appointments, and it's my honor, Mr. President, members of this council, to submit the name of Bill Erspamer to serve as interim police chief for the city of Rock Springs.
Councilors, Commander Bill Erspamer is the mayor's selection for an interim police chief of the city of Rock Springs. I'd entertain a motion for approval.
So moved, Mr. President.
Got a motion by Councilor Hickerson. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Councilor Zadi. Roll call, please.
Councilor Batolo,
Yes.
Savage,
Yes.
West,
Yes.
Hickerson,
Yes.
Zadi,
Yes.
Demus,
Yes.
Robinson,
Yes.
Halter.
Yes.
Mayor, you have your appointment.
Thank you, Mr. President, members of the council, and if we so could at this time, Chief, if you didn't run out already, we have the Honorable Judge Nelson here
Oh, yeah.
to administer the oath and make everything. So if you would.
Raise your right hand and repeat after me. I state your name.
I, Bill Erspamer,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support, obey, and defend
that I will support, obey, and defend
the constitutions of the United States
the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Wyoming,
and the Constitution of the State of Wyoming,
that I have not knowingly violated any law
that I have not
discharge the duties of my office.
I will discharge the duties of my office with fidelity.
Congratulations.
Rock Springs City Council, I give you your new interim police chief. Great guy. Look forward to the many adventures ahead. But if we could, is your family here? Could we get a picture, Judge? Could we, before you step out, I know you're going fishing or something, but could we get a picture with Chief's family if we could?
If he wants to get it, I'm gonna have to step out.
Come on down. Make this official.
Got enough room?
I think so. We're just cuddling up to you, Tim.
You're such a warm
So true.
It's a big discussion, but
Oh, I got those stupid lights in there.
I think it was 10 million. First, when you were trying to figure out what pictures were. It was
Right.
Okay, congratulations. That's exciting.
They've had enough.
I know, Bill, if you want to say a few words of speech, you're more than welcome to. It's all yours, buddy.
Come on.
All of our guys just left.
You can talk about them now.
Now you can say anything you want about it.
No, I mean, I guess I would just say that, you know, I'm honored to have the opportunity for this position. It's not something I set out for at the beginning of my career, or ever thought would ever even be a possibility for me, but here I sit and I'm ready to do the job, so I appreciate the opportunity, Mayor. And hopefully I do my best for you guys. Thanks.
Well, I'll tell you what, I've known you for many years. You're a stand-up guy, respectful, and you have a lot of great ideas and great leadership skills. It's going to be a good ride. Okay, Mr. President, members of the council, I submit the name of Janissa Meredith to serve second term on the Beautification and Tree Committee.
Councilors, Janessa Meredith has stepped up for second term on the Beautification and Tree Committee. I'd entertain a motion for approval.
So moved.
We've got a motion by Councilor Robinson. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Councilor Batolo. Roll call, please.
Councilor Savage,
Yes.
West,
Yes.
Hickerson,
Yes.
Zadi,
Yes.
Demus,
Yes,
Robinson,
Yes.
Halter,
Yes.
Batolo.
Yes. Mayor, you have your appointment.
Thank you, Mr. President, members of the council. Mr. President, I also submit the name of Jim Walmsley to serve first term Southwest Wyoming Regional Airport Board.
Councilors, before you is the name of Jim Walmsley to serve first term on the Southwest Wyoming Regional Airport Board. I'd entertain a motion for approval.
So moved, Mr. President.
Motion by Councilor Batolo. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Councilor Robinson. Roll call, please.
Councilor West,
Yes.
Hickerson,
Yes.
Zadi,
Yes.
Demus,
yes,
Robinson,
Yes.
Halter,
Yes.
Batolo,
Yes.
Savage.
Is this your first term?
This is a long discussion, but in a roundabout way, this is a term for the city of Rock Springs and
Oh, okay. Okay.
Mr.
Yes.
Rosato's.
Okay.
Good question.
Technically for us, yes.
Okay.
Mayor, you have your appointment.
Thank you, Mr. President, members of the council. Mr. President, I submit the name of, oh, looky there, Jim Walmsley
Sucker.
to fill the unexpired term on the Joint Powers Combined Communication Board.
Councilors, Jim is back again. Mr. Walmsley has stepped up to fill an unexpired term for the Joint Powers Communication Board and entertain a motion for approval. So moved, Mr. President. Participation part. Or motion by Councillor Robinson. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Councillor Demus. Roll call, please.
Counselor Hickerson,
Yes.
Zadi,
Yes.
Demus,
Yes.
Robinson,
Yes.
Halter,
Abstain.
Batolo,
Yes.
Savage,
Yes.
West.
Yes. Mayor, you have your appointment.
Thank you, Mr. President, members of the council. Mr. President, I submit to you the name of John Maple to serve first term, Sweetwater County Joint Travel and Tourism Board.
Councilors John Maple has stepped up to serve a first term on the Sweetwater County Joint Travel and Tourism Board. I would entertain a motion for approval.
So moved, Mr. President.
Motion by Councilor Batolo. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Councilor Demus. Roll call, please.
Counselor Zadi,
Yes.
Demus,
Yes.
Robinson,
Yes.
Halter,
Yes.
Batolo,
Yes.
Savage,
Yes.
West,
Yes.
Hickerson.
Yes.
Mayor, you have your appointment.
Thank you, Mr. President, members of the council, and to the community and anyone here tonight. We are still looking for good people to serve good positions on good boards and committees. We're still searching for P&Z members and other boards and committees, so please feel free to contact my office, 307-352-1510, or get on the website and apply to participate and help lead our city in the right direction. This is going to move us on to the presentations and proclamations section of our agenda, and the first order of business is the Tourism Master Plan, and I believe Janissa is in Green River presenting at this time. So we're going to move on and go to number 2, and she can present when she shows up. We're going to move to National Police Week, which is May 15th through the 21st, of which Chief Erspalmer and our PD are, well, they may have vacated, aren't you? Well, we have Clay, we have Sergeant Jarvie here. So we have a proclamation which reads, whereas despite, I have to make sure I get the right one. We have a lot of proclamations. Let's start that again. Whereas the Congress and President of the United States have designated May 15th as Peace Officers Memorial Day, and the week in which it falls as Police Week. And the members of Rock Springs Police Department play an essential role in safeguarding the rights and freedoms of the citizens of Rock Springs. And it is important that all of our citizens know and understand the problems, duties, and responsibilities of their police department, and that members of our police department recognize their duty to serve the people by safeguarding life and property, by protecting them against violence or disorder, and by protecting the innocent against deception and the weak against oppression or intimidation. And the Rock Springs Police Department has grown to be a modern and scientific law enforcement agency which unceasingly provides a vital public service. And officers face the threat of violence every day. They routinely put their lives on the line to defend ours, and the price of that bravery is immeasurable. The steadfast dedication of our law enforcement officers warrants much more than praise. Now, therefore, be it resolved that I, Timothy A. Como, Mayor of the City of Rock Springs, do hereby declare the week of May 15th through the 21st to be National Police Week in the City of Rock Springs, Wyoming, and I call upon our citizens to reflect on the way in which our lives have been touched by the officers who stand guard over our community. I further call upon all of our citizens to remember May 15th as Peace Officers Memorial Day in honor of those peace officers who, through their courageous deeds, have lost their lives or have become disabled in the performance of their duty. And I think we should give our police officers a round of applause. I know there's other events taking place. Chief, I don't know if you want to add in any information or if I covered enough, but please feel free to come and visit the police department, know your police officers, spend time out on the streets and have a discussion with them. You should be familiar with who our police officers are in our community.
Yeah, I would just add, we do have a couple events going on this week. Tomorrow morning, there'll be coffee with me, if anybody wants to come down to Coltrane Coffee. Just discuss any events or problems you have with your policing. be welcome to talk with you there. And then on Friday night, the Red, White Buffalo in Green River will be hosting a ceremony, and we'll call every officer's name who's been killed in the line of duty ever. It's a 3-hour event, so bring a lawn chair, but it's a good event, a moving event, and that'll be hosted in Rock Springs at the Red, White Buffalo.
Green River.
I'm sorry, Green River, yeah.
I'm all about Rock Springs. Look, Chief, we've only been here a short time, and we already just made another picture.
Sounds good. All right. All right.
I know.
Pictures.
Oh, I know. What time is coffee?
8 a.m.
8 a.m.
And coffee's where?
Coltrane.
Coltrane? Good deal. Well, that's good. The next one we have is Arbor Day, May 23rd, and we're honored to have our park supervisor, Mr. Mark Lyon. You want to come down and say a few words on Arbor Day? I know you want to. Arbor Day is cool. Started way back in 1872, where Nebraska, they planted over, was like 1 million trees. Mark will let us know.
Your Honor, Councillors, yeah, we'll be doing Arbor Day out on the west on-ramp to I-80. We've been trying to do some improvements out there on some of the plantings, trying to push on what our community looks like, especially for our visitors. And so this is one of those opportunities that we can have and try to put a little enforcement onto that. We'll be moving over to Elk Street hopefully at some point when we've just got this YDOT grant that we'll be working with for the planning and the design for some of our gateways. And that's going to be the big thing as we move forward, and hope that there's some funding potentially available at some point in whichever form it may be. But we'll be working towards that. But we're going to be ahead of the game. We're going to have our plans put together, and we'll be ready to go. So, but come on out. We're doing it at 4:30. We're hoping we're going to be able to catch a few people. And this will be a pretty quick event. We won't be doing a whole lot because we're using trees we bought last year to kind of help support this one. But we'll definitely be planting a few trees out there in that area.
What was the date again, Mark?
The 23rd at 4:30. And it's on the west on-ramp going to Green River on 102.
Okay.
And so thank you. We appreciate the support and everything we've done throughout the few years. We're on our 28th year here in Rock Springs for celebrating
Yeah, that's
Arbor Day, so that's a
amazing.
pretty good event. So
Put a lot of trees in the ground.
thank you.
You bet. We have a proclamation for you, by the way, which read, whereas in 1872, J. Sterling Morton proposed to the Nebraska Board of Agriculture that a special day be set aside for planting of trees. And this holiday, called Arbor Day, was first observed with the planting of more than 1 million trees in Nebraska. And the holiday of Arbor Day now is observed throughout the nation and the world. And trees can reduce the erosion of our precious topsoil by wind and water, cut heating and cooling costs, moderate temperature, clean the air, and produce life-giving oxygen and provide a habitat for wildlife. And trees are a renewable resource, giving us paper, wood for our homes, fuel for our fires, and countless other wood products. And trees in our city increase property values, enhance the economic vitality for businesses, and beautify our community. And trees, wherever they are planted, are a source of joy and spiritual renewal. And now, therefore, be it resolved that I, Timothy A. Como, Mayor of the City of Rock Springs, do hereby proclaim Monday, May 23rd, 2022 to be Arbor Day in Rock Springs, Wyoming. And I urge all of our citizens to celebrate Arbor Day and to support efforts to protect our trees and woodlands. I urge all citizens to plant trees to warm the heart and promote the well-being of this and future generations. To commemorate Arbor Day, a tree planting will take place on Monday, May 23rd, 2022 at 4:30 PM on the Interstate 80 westbound exit 102 on-ramp. So be there. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it. Keep planting those trees. Now you know how frustrated we get when we wake up on a Monday morning and see drunk drivers who have mowed down 100-year-old trees going down the street. A lot of work going into these trees, and takes them a long time to get to that state. So call a taxi, call an Uber, have a DD. Do your duty. Okay, item number 4 we have is Mental Health Awareness Month. And as we discussed this during Suicide Prevention Week, and I had called those folks back, we have a proclamation that we'd like to issue, but we really didn't have a lot of meat and resources. So with that, I had remembered that we had Sergeant Clay Jarvie was getting an education in mental illnesses, and reached out to him, and he is here tonight. He's going to come up and share some information with us that he's learned, and some resources that may be available for those individuals with mental health issues in our community, other than just providing them with a proclamation and no idea where to get help. So Sergeant, I'm going to turn it over to you, and you can tell us all about mental health issues and some resources that you found.
Thank you. I do have to let you know I'm in witness protection right now and unavailable for any photographs, so to get that out of the way right to begin with. Just share some stats and some stuff that I've been learning about. I've been with the police department for 16 years. Unfortunately, we deal with a lot of suicides around here. We also deal with a lot of people that just suffer from mental illness without knowing where to go for resources, or just being in a small town. Sometimes there's a lack of resources. But some interesting stuff I found is that Sweetwater County is currently ranked in the top 10% of the nation for completed suicides, which was pretty wide-opening. And then according to the CDC statistics, which are current all the way through 2020, Wyoming has led the country in the suicide death rate from 2018 all the way through 2020. So for 3 years running, it's pretty eye-opening when you realize. I always knew that we were in the top 10, but to realize that we're number 1 is pretty eye-opening. What causes mental illness? Sometimes we don't know. There's stuff like schizophrenia that won't manifest itself for a long time, and then all of a sudden it starts to develop in people and come out. There's some things like PTSD can be caused by a single or multiple traumatic incidents that can bring that on. Others could be a combination of events, accidents. I had an aunt that got in a bad car wreck and had whiplash and injured her brain, and she was never the same after that. So there's a whole wide array of things that can happen to cause mental illness, and also a wide variety of treatments. So what are some things that we can do to help prevent against this? A couple of things is we can make sure that we're healthy, both physically and mentally. And I'm not saying you have to look like Tim Robinson to be in top fitness health. I don't know if many know this, but he was the #1 plank guy for the FBI National Academy in your class, weren't you?
I don't remember.
There was a guy that kept dropping his knee down that actually won because he was cheating, but I think Tim was the guy. So, but even just like going for a 30-minute walk or something like that can help your brain. Read books, listen to podcasts. It doesn't always have to be video games or stuff like that. Not that stuff's bad, but make sure you're doing stuff to stay mentally strong as well. This was a real eye-opener for me, is getting adequate sleep. They say 8 to 9 hours, and I know that when you say that to most cops, they just laugh at you because usually we're about the six hours a night, and we feel like we're doing pretty good. But studies have shown if you're getting less than 7 hours of sleep consistently, you can almost guarantee you're going to get cancer, and you can almost guarantee you're going to get Alzheimer's. So there's a lot of stuff that comes later on in life if you're not taking care of the sleep right now. So that was a pretty big deal. The other thing was to be social and interact with others. I can tell you my favorite place to hang out is in my basement with the lights out watching my Sony big screen. But that does not do much for our mental health. There's a psychologist that did some research, and I'll share some of her words. It was pretty profound. She said that face-to-face contact releases a cascade of neurotransmitters that protect you now in the present as well as in the future. Even shaking hands and giving high fives releases oxytocin, which increases your level of trust and lowers your stress. So pretty amazing what even just a little bit of social interaction can do for us and for our mental health. So what do we do if we feel like we need help? Trusted friends, family, sometimes you can open up to them and get some answers and stuff. I know that we utilize that a lot. If that's not cutting it for us, there's also several counseling companies in town. You can go visit a professional counselor that's been trained in this stuff, social workers, different things like that. The thing to remember about that is if you go and see someone, you may not click off with that person. Like, I don't know if you got, I'm put now Chief Erspommer on the spot, see if he knows who the starting quarterback was for UW in 2015. It helps if you don't, so that's, yeah, he doesn't know. That's because in 2016, we had the famous Josh Allen come into town, and then everything was real good for a while. Sometimes it can be like that if we're seeking professional help. First person we may not click with, try someone else. Don't just give up on counseling or seeking professional help altogether. Try someone else, and there could be someone that you click on. I go and see a counselor, and I know the first people that I went inside and click with, but you find someone that you click with and things just really progress and you get some answers and resources that you're looking for. And then the last thing is if you're a parent, the best thing you can do for your kids is to tell them you love them, give them lots of hugs. I just did a paper. I'm getting my master's degree in counseling right now. I'm going to hopefully be a professional counselor after I retire from the police department. But that was one of the biggest resources that people had was finding family support. If they had family support, they were able to deal with stuff a whole lot easier than if they didn't have that family support. Without that support, things really went downhill in tanks. So just be supportive of your family, tell them you love them, give them hugs, all that kind of stuff, and that makes a huge deal. So I'd leave that with you. Thank you very much.
Clay, one question we have. A couple of people in our community who obviously have some mental health issues. We see just recently one individual just walks around town in and out of the jail system continuously. I think they have to arrest him on certain things and then he's let go, but he makes mistakes, he's back in, he's out. What can we do as a community to help these types of individuals if they don't want to receive help? Because obviously that's an issue as well.
Yeah, I think part of the problem is they don't have the brain power to understand that they do need help, even things are changing constantly. So it's the thing that we all have plenty of, and that's money, which no one has and no one wants to pay out for it. But sometimes in a community like ours, we just lack the long-term resources. I know that we have some agencies that are trying to find him some long-term help where he can get the help he needs, get medication, counseling, have just that he's taken care of. So because we don't want him to go into a building not knowing what's going on and get injured or shot or something like that just because they're a homeowner. So really it just comes down to what resources we have and what funding we have. And unfortunately, a lot of the stuff he needs help with are in kind of the bigger cities that have programs set up for that. So
Yeah, I think Clay also put together a list of some resources. Can we put that up? Does Gina have that?
I sent it to her. I don't know if she's here.
I think it's with the proclamation.
Oh, there we go.
There you go.
There's a reason I don't work in IT, so I'll tell you that right now.
So Sergeant Jarvie provided us, it's amazing, there are a lot of hotlines that are available here. So if you're at home or if you see these, take a snapshot. You can contact City Hall, get this list, but by all means, we're going to put it out on our website. And just know that there are a lot a lot of resources out there. And what we've said before, it's frustrating for us to do proclamations and proclaim a day or a month of so-and-so day without providing some ideas of what we have in our community. And I think Sergeant Jarvie is correct. A lot of the issues may be found in larger cities, but I'm going to say there's, I don't know, probably 20 different hotlines that one should be able to find some help, whether you're a family member or not. So, Clay, I appreciate your information and your coming down here today and sharing what you know, and providing some, at least some numbers and some names that we can share with the community.
And I'm happy to share this with anyone. And I also got most of this information from our own Sweetwater County Prevention Coalition. So they're another great resource to contact if you're looking for numbers and stuff like that too. So.
Right. Councilors, any questions for Sergeant Jarvie?
Your Honor, if I may, just to kind of add to something Sergeant Jarvie passed on is in working through the ambulance committee and the ambulance board, the ambulance, both Sweetwater, Bendix, and Castle Rock have indicated that their highest increase in calls in the last about 2 years has consistently been mental health and emotional issues that they're dealing with on a regular basis, probably more so than any of the other types of traumatic calls. And it is definitely widespread.
Has increased through the COVID pandemic and all the
Correct.
stress-related factors, I'm sure.
Correct.
Yeah. Clay, thank you very much.
You
Appreciate
betcha.
it. Well done. Okay, and just such great timing. We have Janissa is now here to, oh, yes. First, we'll give her a breather. We did not read the proclamation. Thank you, Mr. President. Janissa, you'll be up next. We'll give you about 5 minutes. Thanks. We do have a proclamation, Sergeant Jarvie, for mental health, whereas mental health is important for our individual well-being and vitality, as well as that of our families, communities, and businesses. And 1 in 5 Americans experience a mental health illness that requires treatment at some point in their lives. And 1 in 10 children has a serious emotional disturbance, and if untreated, can lead to school failure, physical illness, substance use, jail, or even suicide. And stigma and stereotypes associated with mental illnesses often keep people from seeking treatment for themselves or their children, which could improve their quality of life. And mental illness is a biologically based brain disorder that cannot be overcome through willpower. It is not related to a defect in a person's character or intelligence, and mental health recovery is a journey of healing and transformation, enabling people with a mental illness to live in a community of his or her choice while striving to achieve their full potential. And mental health recovery is not only benefits individuals with mental health disorders by focusing on their abilities to live, work, learn, and participate in or contribute to our society, but also enriches the culture of our community life. And the City of Rock Springs is committed to inspiring hope, empowering people, and strengthening communities through raising awareness and eliminating the stigma that mental health carries. Now, therefore, be it resolved that I, Timothy A. Como, Mayor of the City of Rock Springs, do hereby proclaim May 2022 to be Mental Health Awareness Month in Rock Springs, Wyoming, and call upon our citizens and other government agencies, public and private institutions, businesses, and schools to recommit to increasing awareness and understanding of mental illness and recognizing the need for appropriate and accessible services for all people with mental illnesses to promote recovery. Thank you, Sergeant. I have this proclamation is yours, by the way. Come on down, you'll have to come and take a picture. There you go.
Lots of pictures tonight.
Yes. Okay, now, Janessa, I'm going to turn some time over to Sweetwater County Tourism Master Plan. Janessa Meredith, CEO of Sweetwater County Joint Travel and Tourism Board. Tell us what's going on. Remember when that didn't work last time you were here and you were so frustrated?
It's hit or miss.
Don't jinx it.
Oh, how do I make it come out of that? I did this at the county too. I might just have to have it look like that. Can everybody sort of read that? Which one?
Should go full screen.
Yeah, up. Ta-da.
Ta-da.
That one's on you.
Sorry.
Right.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I'm Janessa Meredith. I'm the Sweetwater County Travel and Tourism Board Executive Director. Thank you for allowing us some time tonight to share with you our Sweetwater County Tourism Master Plan. So we commissioned a tourism master plan to be created because we wanted to make sure that when funding sources became available in our current conditions, that we were ready to apply for those funds, that we'd made a list of projects, that we got everybody on board, all of our critical partners, all of the elected officials, got everybody in the same room, on the same page, so that when those funding sources become available, we're ready. So we hired Darren Rudloff with Rudloff Solutions, and I'll have him describe the process of how we develop the tourism master plan.
Good evening, Mayor and members of the council. It's certainly my pleasure to be back here talking about your tourism master plan. As the slide shows, let's start with just the purpose of the master plan, and building on what Janessa said. The real goal of this tourism master plan is to get everyone on the same page. It's not just travel and tourism as an organization, though. It's the entire county. It's Rock Springs, it's Green River, it's the county government, it's the college, it's the chambers, the downtown groups. It's everyone pulling together on some common goals and some common objectives. Like she said, getting everyone agreeing on what are some big projects, so if funding opportunities come around, you're united to go after them. And again, this is all for the benefit of both visitors and residents. You know, many times we think Janessa just works for the visitors, but everything that makes your county great for visitors also makes it great for residents. What makes a place nice for visitors to visit also makes a community great for residents and for your workforce, because your residents are looking for what visitors are looking for. They're looking for things to do, dining, shopping, amenities. So working all together here, we can improve Sweetwater County for everybody. Basically, we're trying to get everyone on the same page, much like the Outdoor Recreation Collaborative is doing right now. That's a great success story for Sweetwater County. It's getting everyone combining efforts to look at outdoor recreation. This plan is looking at the overall travel industry a little bit more broadly. While every community is different throughout Wyoming, Cheyenne and Casper are a little bit ahead of you in that they created master plans about a year ago. And both of them really tackled the situation and started implementing ideas that were in their strategic plans or in their master plans. So some of those examples are up on the screen right now. I'll highlight real quickly in Cheyenne, for instance, the city of Cheyenne is working with Union Pacific to get control of some old railroad cars that UP has in the railroad yard, turning them into little businesses or little attractions, renovating them, and we're going to put them around the depot in downtown Cheyenne. So the city is working with Union Pacific to get ownership of those vehicles, to renovate them, and Visit Cheyenne, which is Janessa's counterpart, is actually working with an architecture firm to redesign 15th Street by the depot to figure out where the cars should go, perhaps change that road into a one-way street, how it can all work with the greenway running between the cars. In Casper, 2 weeks ago, their city council decided to start implementing their wayfinding plan. They decided to start putting the wayfinding signs in the ground, if you will. But they decided doing it all at one time was too big of a budget crunch to stomach. So they decided that as their road projects developed over the next few years, they would have YDOT, the county, and the city all work together. Every road project would have a few signs. So it's going to be kind of a jerky implementation of their sign program, but they're going to do it over a period of years. And it's a way that this their tourism master plan gets implemented, so it's not just sitting on the shelf. If they tried to do it at one time, they probably wouldn't get it done. So they are doing it in a piecemeal fashion, and it was part of this plan to say, get it done, guys. Last fall, Janessa put together this steering committee of people here in Sweetwater County to start working on this process. So you'll recognize a lot of the names here from both the economic development organizations, county, state government, and various business organizations. They met in person a couple of times and then did a lot of work online through online surveys and through emails. And they started working through this process right here. At the very top, we started with a literature review. We didn't try to recreate anything, recreate the wheel here in Sweetwater County. Y'all have done a lot of solid work between the community plans in Green River, Rock Springs, county, the chamber, the hospital, the college. We started there at existing plans and reviewed them fully and looked for things that kept popping up. What common elements showed up in all of the different plans? Those are kind of the big strategic issues. They're either major problems or they're great opportunities for Sweetwater County. So we identified 4 big strategic issues. We tested them with the steering committee to see, does this smell right? Then we did stakeholder interviews. We interviewed 19 different elected officials, business owners, people that were experts in those big 4 strategic issues. We got their input on where the real problem was, what were some potential solutions, and then we interviewed both residents and visitors about some of those strategic issues as well, kind of asked them their thoughts on the process. All of that research got bundled up to create the master plan. And here are those 4 big strategic issues that kept popping up in all of these research and all of this discussion. Number 1 was partnerships and collaborations, having everyone work together. Number 2, your big strength, outdoor recreation. Number 3, attractions and amenities that go beyond outdoor recreation, more indoor activities. And number 4, your travel industry infrastructure, which is things like transportation, et cetera. Those were the 4 big strategic issues, and then we started developing the actual strategies to tackle each of them. And Janessa will now go through those strategies that you'll all be working on in the next few years.
I'm going to hand out, I emailed these out to everyone, but here's a physical copy as well. And then our funding report. So as Darren mentioned, the 4 strategic issues that rose to the top, the first of those is partnerships and collaborations. So a successful tourism master plan requires stakeholders to agree on common goals and work together to attain them. So we wanted to make sure everybody was on the same page. Like I said, instead of working in silos, we wanted to have a more county-wide view. So that's why we put this as number 1. So all of these strategic issues really ranked high, but we knew that without partnership, we're all going to waste our efforts. If we all come together in our one solid voice, we'll get a lot more done. So we want to make this master plan a unifying document. We want to create stronger communication and collaboration. We want to investigate and pursue funding options that'll be critical to making this plan successful. And we want to speak with a unified Sweetwater County voice. Outdoor recreation. As you all know, we have some really epic outdoor attractions in Sweetwater County. I would say they rival national parks that I have been to. Specifically in like North Dakota, South Dakota. But Sweetwater County's outdoor recreation attractions are enviable, even in an outdoor state like Wyoming. These amenities dominate lists of popular activities of both residents and visitors, who also rate them as being high in quality. However, some of these attractions are difficult to access, undeveloped, and somewhat rugged. So we want to work to improve so that our epic landscape can be enjoyed by more folks. So under the outdoor recreation strategic issue, we want to develop and improve wayfinding. That's almost a dirty word sometimes in my world. It's tricky. Wayfinding is tricky in a county that is so large. We have worked a lot to develop municipality wayfinding systems. We've paid for the creative development of those systems, but we want to make sure that all of our attractions in the county are easier to find. We want to add additional signage. Seeds Skidee National Wildlife Refuge is a little bit tricky to find if you've ever done it without navigation, things like that. Some of our outdoor attractions that we want to lead more folks to and make it easier for them to get there. We want to work on developing and improving the Flaming Gorge experience. I gave you all the Flaming Gorge tour brochure. So as you know, we started this tour last summer. It's a guided bus tour around Flaming Gorge National Recreation Area. It's a full day tour. A lot of you have taken it, and it's been kind of our first step into product development to enhance the experience at Flaming Gorge. We also want to do what we can with that designation for the All-American Road. We have 2 applications that we're currently working on for funding turnouts on the Wyoming side of the Flaming Gorge Scenic Byway, the All-American Road portion of it. So we're already working on that. And then we also want to have some discussions about a state park, possibly in Sweetwater County. Governor Gordon had his Drive and Thrive initiative developed, and listed within that was possibly 2 additional state parks in the state of Wyoming. And Sweetwater County is really primed to be one of those locations, whether that be, go ahead.
Just a little shout out, if you haven't taken the bus tour, I was asked, I'm down there pretty much every weekend. I thought it would be extremely boring. I learned a lot of stuff I did not know. The tour guide, what was her name?
Lucy Diggins-Wold.
Yeah, fantastic. It was just absolutely a fantastic trip if you get a chance to take it. And then talking with the bus driver, who would have knew? It was cheaper as well.
I was going to say.
So we kind of talked crap on Bill for a while about hunting and stuff. I learned some stories that I'm going to keep in my box, but I thought I'd throw that out there because great group of people, and it was a fantastic trip. And they feed you lunch at Red Canyon. You can't beat it. Go do it. It's worth it. I'm sorry.
Thank you. No, I appreciate that very much. And any of you can take the tour complimentary. Just let me know. The list of dates are on our website at explorewy.com. It's primarily Thursdays and Saturdays throughout the summer months. So just let me know if anyone else is interested in taking that tour. And Bill is an awesome bus driver. His dad is phenomenal. That's true. Thank you for that. So yeah, the state park discussion, like I was mentioning, we're hoping that if we push and let folks know that that's something we're interested in, that could be something that comes to fruition either at the Flaming Gorge or possibly at the Sand Dunes. Those are my top 2 locations that I would love to see one of the 2 become a state park. And then we also want to develop and promote outdoor recreation providers and outfitters to enable visitors and residents to more easily access and enjoy amenities such as the Green River and the Kilpecker Sand Dunes. We don't have a lot of guided tours in our area. That's why we developed the Flaming Gorge tour. So not everybody wants to go out and find the attractions on their own. Like I said, limited signage, limited cell phone, limited road maintenance in some areas. So being able to have more of that guided experience would be really great for visitors to our area. We also want to support efforts of existing outdoor recreation groups. So there's local mountain biking clubs, local motorized clubs, SWAT, I know you're all familiar with. So I want to make sure that we're supporting all of their efforts and keeping tabs on what everyone's doing, and we're all moving in the same direction. So I serve on the steering committee for the Sweetwater County Outdoor Recreation Collaborative as well, which includes all of those folks. So making sure that we're all kind of aware of each other's projects and challenges and making sure we're utilizing all of our resources. It also came to the top to develop the Rock Springs and Green River trails within the cities and an overarching long-term goal to connect the 2 cities with the trail system, which I had never heard of or discussed before, but that became a really common theme in the discussions of the steering committee. That would be really, really an awesome amenity to have a connecting trail between Rock Springs and Green River. And then also developing recreational opportunities in the Red Desert. As you know, we'll be selling sandboards this summer. We're not going to be able to buy them fast enough to sell them. People are really excited about it, and those will become available in the next week or 2. So we want to make sure that the Kilpecker Sand Dunes are really not just utilized by ATV owners, that people can go out and hike or sandboard and experience that epic landscape for themselves as well. And then attractions and amenities. I think I missed a slide maybe. While outdoor recreation dominates Sweetwater County's tourism industry, events and indoor activities also play a role. For instance, this is a really interesting statistic. 80% of residents attend at least one event annually at the Sweetwater Events Complex, and tourists list festival and events as one of their preferred activities when visiting. So however, the county lacks some indoor amenities and establishments desired by residents and visitors. So keeping existing venues updated and competitive, as well as adding new ones, will improve the county's appeal and quality of life. So those indoor attractions not only improve the quality of life for residents, but I feel like it helps to recruit workforce to our area as well. Folks that are looking to move their family here really want to know what they can do for their kids, what kind of sports facilities a community has to offer. So as I mentioned before, we want to support all of the efforts of the Sweetwater Events Complex, investigate the need and support for new event space, such as a multi-purpose facility, sports field house, or other event venue that can host activities year-round, and also support one or more lodging properties with in-house meeting space in excess of 10,000 square feet. So a hotel and convention center would be phenomenal. We'd be able to recruit a lot of events or really have an economic impact with that someday down the road. We also would like to support the development of new or expanded attractions and businesses, and of course, support the downtown Main Street offices in Rock Springs and Green River. I would really like to see a Butch Cassidy focus attraction in downtown Rock Springs. Chad Banks and I work regularly to try and brainstorm what that could look like, but there's a lot of opportunity there. We haven't fully claimed Butch Cassidy as ours, so I hope to do that in the future as well. And the last strategic issue that came to the top is the travel industry infrastructure. So an area's travel infrastructure often determines how successful the area is in enjoying tourism's economic benefits. The planning process revealed the need to improve these basic building blocks for Sweetwater County's hospitality industry. In particular, the research indicated significant interest in the beautification of gateways into the county's major communities. So as you know, I've worked really hard over the past 10 or more years on city beautification, building gateways into our communities at the Dewar Drive exit, the Green River exit. We worked on that sign as well. A lot of landscaping projects. Mark Lyon has been instrumental in helping us with all of that. So yeah, the gateways into our cities, that first impression that people get really matters. If you visited any town in the country, you know how it feels when you first enter. You get that first impression, and it sticks with you forever. No matter what the next thing is that you see, we have one chance to make that first impression. It's really critical that we do it right. So I want to continue to work on that. And also want to protect the Southwest Wyoming Regional Airport. As you know, it provides many benefits to local residents and visitors as well. And then develop efforts to improve both the quality and quantity of the local hospitality workforce. So we can spend a lot of money to get people to visit Sweetwater County, but if they have a bad experience on the front line with the hospitality employee, it's all for naught. So we want to make sure that we are providing quality customer service at all aspects of the visitor experience. So supporting that workforce is really critical for that. And that is the down and dirty, fast and furious Sweetwater County Tourism Master Plan. And we would take any questions if you had them.
Council, any questions for Janissa? Great job. I think you're right. You know, some of the times that we pull back on our marketing and our beautification, which always seems to be the case, is when revenues are down. That's the most important time to be promoting that. And we have been to many communities where you pull in and you see something and you go, might get gas, but I'm leaving here, but not coming back. First impressions do mean everything, and is why we do need to continue efforts in trying to improve our entryways. We still have some work to do. We've done some. We tried to make a stab at it. This year, I don't know that we'll be successful in that either, but President West requested to stick $1 million in beautification of our gateways, and it looks like that through the specific purpose tax, that's going to get nixed. But we always have to be moving forward and thinking about that, because first impressions do mean a lot. And we don't want to be labeled and never visited again. We want to be, I'm going to stay at a couple extra days, spend some more money. Sales and use tax is what we live on, and maybe I'll go back next year too. So
Absolutely. One last thing, the economic impact numbers that the Wyoming Office of Tourism works on every year told us that in 2021, travelers spent over $160 million in Sweetwater County. So we know tourism is big business for Sweetwater County, and anything that we can do to enhance that visitor experience will benefit us all.
Yes. Very well done.
Thank you.
Thank you. Nice to have you here with us, and we'll continue to work on it. Okay, councilors, we have one other item under proclamations is Men's Health Month, so pay attention, all you men. Our proclamation reads, whereas despite advances in medical technology and research, men continue to live an average of 5 years less than women. And COVID-19 variants continue to spread across the country, with the Centers for Disease Control reporting that males are more likely to die from this pandemic, and encouraging safe behaviors, including social distancing, wearing masks, and being vaccinated will help stop the spread of COVID-19. And educating the public and healthcare providers about the importance of healthy lifestyles and early detection of male health problems will result in reducing rates of mortality from disease. And men who are educated about the value and preventative health can play in prolonging their lifespan, and their role as productive family members will be more likely to participate in health screenings. And fathers who maintain a healthy lifestyle are role models for their children and have happier, healthier children. And the Men's Health Network worked with Congress to develop a national men's health awareness period as a special campaign to help educate men, boys, and their families about the importance of positive health attitudes and preventative health practices. And Men's Health Month in Rock Springs will focus on a broad range of men's health issues, including heart disease, mental health, diabetes, prostate, testicular, and colon cancer. And the citizens of Rock Springs are encouraged to increase awareness of the importance of a healthy lifestyle, regular exercise, and medical checkups. Now, therefore, be it resolved that I, Timothy A. Como, Mayor of the City of Rock Springs, do hereby declare the month of June of 2022 to be Men's Health Month in the City of Rock Springs, and encourage all of our citizens to pursue preventative health practices and early detection efforts throughout the year. So, let that be a lesson to you. Take it. Thanks, Sam. We're going to move on to the public hearing section of our agenda, of which we have 3 public hearings being heard today. The first being a public hearing regarding the sale of public property, which includes a 2010 Ford Explorer K9 unit to be sold to the Shoshone Police Department in the amount of $4,500, of which will act under new business item number 2. Is there anyone here tonight wishing to speak at this public hearing? No one? Okay, item number 2 is a public hearing regarding proposed changes to the master land use plan map and the official zoning map of the City of Rock Springs by Brian Marincic and Lance Neve for property near Springs Drive and Mineral Drive, of which will take action under Resolution 2022-60, and then again under Ordinance 2022-07. Is there anyone here wishing to speak on behalf of this public hearing? If you would, sure, come on up to the podium, state your name so Sam can get it in the record. And
yes, it's Jim Lever. I had written a detailed letter to the Planning and Zoning Committee, so I don't want to reiterate, or it's in the package, the initial package, myself and a contiguous property owner that I represent, J.D. Oldham with the Great Basin Industrial. And this is about basically changing the heavy industrial zoning from the area between Stagecoach and Industrial Drive for residential. And how I look at this is 12 years, actually 11 years ago, 10 years ago when they started the planning for redoing the master plan for zoning in Rock Springs, there was a bunch of elements that went into that master plan. Mayor Como, councilmen, councilwomen, I think some of the elements that went into that plan, when we're looking at changing a large area of land into a residential area that was initially zoned heavy industrial, was safety. And I think if you look at the map of the proposed development, the majority of traffic that's going to be running on Industrial Drive and Stagecoach is going to be trucks. So we have trucks running down an area where currently it was zoned heavy industrial, which for practical purposes means truck business. So it opens that up for truck business as heavy industrial. It closes it down because we don't have any heavy industrial if this is approved by the council. So safety is the number one issue that I look at, because I look at the Industrial Drive area and I look at the number of trucking businesses that are down there. Each tractor trailer that runs down Industrial Drive can weigh as little as 35,000 pounds, as much as 80,000 pounds. There's 186 lots that are proposed. If you take the average Rock Springs, and this came from the 2020 census, it's 2.7 children under 18 per household. And if you round that down to 2 children per household, that means we have an additional 372 children under 18 that are going to be potentially living in an area that was designed by our, and possibly Mayor Como was involved in the initial planning and zoning as we had to redo it in 2012. So we take that area now and we put 186 lots in it, 372 children, and hope that a truck doesn't run over one of those 372 potential children. And are there other areas in Rock Springs that could be developed residentially? And I think the answer to that is yes. At the last planning and zoning meeting, or maybe it wasn't the last one, but I think somebody brought up the fact that we have somewhere over 500,000 empty square feet of industrial buildings. Seems like a lot. But when one building is 386,000 square feet, like the Halliburton building is, and one building is almost 100,000 square feet, like the Schlumberger building is, and another building is almost 80,000 square feet, like the Knight Oil Tool building is, we really have 4 buildings that encompass that 500,000 square feet. So right now we have 17% heavy industrial in Sweetwater County or in Rock Springs, and over almost 60% residential. So I look at our forefathers. I look at the foresight of our forefathers and say there was a reason why they took that space and developed it into heavy industrial. And safety being, in my mind, certainly an opportunity to, while we still have an opportunity to make sure that we prevent the possibility of taking a dangerous heavy industrial area that's surrounded by railroad tracks and heavy-duty trucks and potentially put 372 children in that area, riding bicycles, walking, doing whatever children do. I think we really need to take a hard look at what would happen if one of these large trucks ran over one of our children in the community and how we would feel about that. It just seems like the forefathers had it right. I'm against changing the master plan. I'm all for safety. I'm all for the idea that we have, you know, Laura's not here any longer, but Laura Lee and myself had, you know, conversations quite frequently about the idea of having avenues for large tractor trailers to run. And one of them was down Industrial Drive. You know, another one was Sage. And now we're talking about taking a heavy industrial, which is different than commercial, and then throwing 106 or 186 lots in it. Any questions?
Okay, councilors, any questions for Mr. Lieber? Jim, I appreciate your comments. I understand that this seems to be a hodgepodge in that area of what's taken place, but we've heard from some of the industrial zoning landowners as well. And we'll see if we have any other comments. Do we have any other comments?
Thank you very
Thanks,
much.
Jim, I appreciate it. Any other comments on this public hearing? Please step up and state your name for the record, if you would.
My name is Mandy Allred. I'm an associate broker with Remax Mountain Realty. I'm a residential land agent within our office and residential homes as well. While I love this idea of bringing new homes, there's always a need for new homes and people to be able to upgrade their lives and improve them for their families. This is not the area for it. With it being heavy industrial and light industrial all the way around, I think it would be a disservice to the public to be able to put this here.
Thanks, Mandy. I appreciate it. Any questions for Mandy?
Not for Mandy, I don't, but maybe for Kathy.
Kathy
If
and
you can-
Ryan are both here to answer questions if you have them.
You know, and that's been my concern, is this is right in industrial and it's surrounded by industrial. Correct me if I'm wrong, because I kind of followed P&Z and what the discussion was, but I know, or I believe, there's some land that we're going to, I guess, give to the city to buffer between the existing developed industrial properties. What are they doing to buffer the surrounding industrial properties? It doesn't seem like there's anything there for a buffer, so we could eventually, we would really right now have residential abutted right against industrial development, light industrial and that, the other boundaries of this development. Is that?
So, Your Honor and Councilors, Laura started this project and took it through review.
Yeah.
The first time it came in front of Planning and Zoning Commission, there were a lot of concerns about the buffer. So the applicant went back and redesigned, reconfigured, and came up with that buffer that takes the residential lots that were up against the existing I-2 and gave that 200-foot buffer along most of the way. There is, I believe, in the southeast corner of the project, some light industrial that would be subject to setbacks for future development.
That would be subject for the industrial, the property owner of the industrial portion of the land, not the residential. See, that's right.
Yeah.
To me, it would be the other way around. Since it's already zoned as industrial, what buffers are we requiring there to buffer that with the existing zoning? There doesn't seem to be any on the south and western side of the development, because that 200-foot buffer now is on the northern side.
On
I
the
believe.
northern side, yes. So their existing uses, they would be allowed to continue as existing uses. If there's any raw land or they wanted to add a new use, they would have to take into consideration the setback distance from residential.
So, and that's, I guess, my concern. And I don't know how the land ownership breaks out there, but because somebody wants to change the zoning in this section of land, we're going to put the burden on the other property owner to comply with the buffer in order to meet the requirements. And that, to me, doesn't make sense. I know, I understand that's the way it is, but it doesn't make sense to me that we do that. And I do have an issue with the surrounding industrial and putting in residential right smack in the middle of that. So
Yeah.
that's been a hard one for me to kind of support. I think planning and zoning had struggles with that as well, it sounded like.
Yeah.
Yeah, you do understand it correctly.
Any other questions, council?
If we had issues, I mean, I know just off Springs Drive, it's residential, the trailer court, I can't remember the name of it.
Springs Drive.
Yeah, right off of Springs. You know, it's right in the inflow of all that heavy traffic, especially at that intersection with Flying J and all that. Has there been any concern, or was there any comments made during the P&Z meetings in regards to that development? I mean, I know this is beyond that, but I'd be curious. I mean, it's a similar situation to what Mr. Lieber was speaking to.
Actually, there was one of the P&Z commissioners did question a lot of the adjoining property owners that have existing industrial, and one of the questions the commissioner had was, have you had complaints about the existing residential? And there have been none.
You know, the problem that is always created with our Wyoming towns is this urban sprawl situation where you can see the R6 zoning where the trailer park exists. Well, that was out of town at one time, and I think that started to go up before housing and the like. It's been there a long time, along with some horse corrals and stuff, and so you ended up with an R6 zoning, and then immediately when we started to work on the plan and realized that the area there, Industrial Drive, was starting to see some interest in the heavy industrial. We had rail, we have connection, streets and everything else. To build that out as industrial made good sense, and then go all the way over to Foothill, and on the opposite side, build out Summit to Foothill, all the way down to Signal on the west side of Foothill, and build residential. And then on the other side, we'd have business and industrial. And it just seems to make sense. I can't say that I support the idea of jumping in and forming a residential area in there as well. It's a lot of lots. And my concern is not so much on the Industrial Drive side, as the traffic dumps on Industrial Drive. They're probably fine if they went to the west and dumped onto Foothill, but if they tried to go to the east and dump back onto Elk Street, that intersection by the fire station, and I said it before, is going to be a nightmare. We can't even keep a curb in place over there just because of the tractor trailers that drag pups across the curb and the grass and everything else. Really what needs to be done is there needs to be a stoplight there. We had that discussion until funding become an issue with Mr. Cowsich and myself of working with YDOT to move the stoplight up to Industrial Drive and forego the stoplight down there because we couldn't have two because of the stacking distance. And we stubbed out the street across of Industrial Drive, working on to secure land through the trailer park to make eventually a main thoroughway. But to me, this just doesn't make a lot of sense to me, and for the same reasons that we've heard here. I think industrial property is one thing, but we don't have any complaints from residential until we do have complaints, and then those people who were there and bought their land as industrial developed and zoned land are now going to have some heat by residential. We heard it at P&Z, people that are going to come in there and say, you know, those guys are over there pumping all night long and unloading rail cars, and now I want you to shut down, and then they're going to be before the city council again trying to take away the rights that they were given. And kudos to the staff. I mean, you, P&Z, Kathy, your department, you absolutely did a fantastic job. You have to go and look at, did they meet the findings of fact? And they did. Does it make sense? And that's what we have to do here. So just my thoughts. Any other comments, councilors?
Your Honor,
Councilman Savage?
Kathy, what was the vote with the P and Z board?
One was opposed, all others were in favor.
One opposed. Thank you.
Is there any issues with floodplain right there?
With the buffer and the land that would be conveyed to the city, that would be the floodway, and there's a minor part in a couple lots that would have some floodplain.
Yeah, this is a tough one. It's, you try and grow and expand the city, but then you end up with commercial, industrial, residential mixed in with one
Yeah,
another, and
it's not a good mix, and by all means, it's great to see people want to develop, but throwing these darts in the middle of a dartboard and then the repercussions that take place afterwards, we'll
Your
end
Honor.
up having to deal with.
What's the history here? Because if you look at the map, it's all over the board.
Yeah, you end up with R1 was rezoned all the way over by Foothill on the western side of that block, and I don't even know when that occurred.
I mean, you've got R5, R6, heavy industrial, R1, all in that same area. It just doesn't make any sense.
Your Honor,
Mr. Kelsey?
can I make just one comment? You know, the master plan was developed 10-some years ago or whatever it was. We did, you know, times have changed. The demand for, I guess, property and what, you know, we've heard numerous times that there aren't residential lots that are available to the home builders, that sort of thing. We did have it in the budget this year to relook at the master plan and maybe clear up some of these areas that, as you say, look confusing or don't make a lot of sense. Of course, that was cut out of the budget due to you know, revenues being down. But like I said, it is somewhat outdated because the demands and the community has changed over the last 10 years. I think we do need to relook at the overall master plan when funding becomes available. But what we have heard is a large demand for residential lots. Home builders can't seem to find enough of them, but I'm not saying that it makes sense here or anywhere else, but I just wanted to make that point that we do see a need to update the master plan and provide more developable type areas for residential type subdivisions.
Yeah, we had that discussion, I don't know, maybe 6 months ago, Paul and Laura and I, and the need to tackle, take a look at the master plan and update it, because times have changed, and we've seen a lot of growth, and then ideas change, and the economy changes and things like that, but it's time to do that. Any other comments, councilors? Any other comments from the public on this for a second time, Mr. Lever?
I just, for clarity, Mayor Como, Rob Zotti was talking about the buffer zone, and it was my understanding that the buffer zone that was given to the city is basically non-usable land. And it's just, you know, additional, it's in the floodplain, you know, it's got percolation problems, there's issues with that particular property, so it's not something that can be developed on.
Well, the concern was that before on the original plan, well, these were incorporated in the lots of some of the first design, and it didn't make sense at all because they were unbuildable. But you're exactly right. We'd be happy to sell it to you.
Thank you. And just one other issue, because I have to deal with it daily in my job as a commercial broker, and a consultant is the first thing that these large companies that want to take a look at Rock Springs ask me is, what's available for either build out or something that's already built that's heavy industrial. And that's whether it be a company that serves the mines, Trona mines, whether it be a company that serves the power plant. Heavy industrial is what we're really short of. We've got Yellowstone, we've got Blair Avenue, and we've got some out on foothills. But anyway, I appreciate you listening to me. Thank you.
Thanks, Mr. Liebert. Any other comments, public? Okay, hearing on, we are going to move on to the third item under public hearings, and that is a public hearing regarding proposed changes to the master land use plan map and the official zoning map of the city of Rock Springs by Spencer Berry and Wade Steinmetz for property near Lombard Drive and Interstate 80, of which will take action under Resolution 2022-61 and Ordinance 2022-08. Is there anyone here tonight wishing to speak on this public hearing? Come on up.
How's it going? My name is Martin Adams, and I'm a local contractor here in town. I guess I do know the Berries, and I've actually had quite a few dealings with them, and or just I guess worked with them in the past on different projects and stuff. And when they brought up the idea of what their proposal was on it, I told them it was a fantastic idea for the simple fact. It's super centrally located in our community. Everything that you're looking for that type of use of property. I mean, you have to go way to far ends of every far end of town. Way out north, way out towards Cruel Jacks to find any kind of self-storage. And it's really, I'd say, is a phenomenal use of that property. And I can just say from experience, I've seen the quality of work that the projects that these guys have worked on in the past, and it's, top notch, man. I've never seen them put out anything that was questionable or I guess even an eyesore. Every time I've ever worked with them, they go the extra mile. So I just kind of figured I would voice my opinion on the fact that I think it's actually a good use of the land, and I think it's in very good hands if it is to go forward. So. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Martin. I appreciate that. Any questions? Thank you, sir. Any other comments on this public hearing?
Your Honor.
Councilman Hickerson.
I got a couple phone calls from people who live up in that neighborhood, one from a person on Dana Circle, one from Stratton, and I don't know, maybe Kathy can answer these questions. So with changing it from, I believe it's R3 to commercial, correct? Yes. On this Lombard unit. Some of their concerns were the chain link, the traffic up on an already busy College Hill intersection or down below by the park. I believe that's Centennial Park. And then potential eyesores, noise, construction, property value, and traffic around the younger kids playing at the park. So is there anything being done to alleviate that?
So a lot of those concerns were brought up at the Planning and Zoning Commission. Most of them will be addressed during the major site plan, is when we go into all those details to address those. We have done some preliminary with a sketch plan that was presented at the same time as this master plan and zone change, which engineering has looked at some of the traffic, and the developer was proposing the fence around the whole perimeter as required in our ordinance. And in this zone change, there's, I think, 102 different uses in B2. So he's not asking for all those uses. He's asking for it to be limited to just mini warehouses to supplement the residential.
Okay, I'll relay that to them. Thank you.
Thank you, Kathy. Any other questions? Okay, moving on. This is the, oh, whoops, do we have another one? Come on down.
Hello, Mayor, council members. My name is Spencer Berry. I'm actually the one that has proposed the zone change for this. A lot of things that Councilor Heckelson brought up, we did address in the Zoning and Planning Commission. One of the things for the traffic, we proposed that we would move a gate about 150 feet into the property so that would not be unpacific. And another concern was that the exit down on Lombard by the park. And the one thing that I brought up is that it's a fire code to have 2 exits in this property. So those are the only 2 visible exits for it. Our main concern was we wanted to limit the traffic going through the residential. We understand that. We didn't want that. And so we wanted to propose that we would have a better one-way system to come out onto Lombard and right there on College, so it wouldn't be going through that. I know that the construction is inevitable. It's zoned right now for high industrial or unindustrial, high residential, so for apartment complexes and stuff like that. I do believe that the many warehouse storages are going to bring in less traffic than it would be if there was going to be multiple apartment buildings there and everything like that. The construction is going to be in 3 different phases, so it would be very limited times. It wouldn't be all at once and be very disruptive or anything like that as well.
I think that's good to know because that discussion did come up. If you take a look at what was going to be proposed at one time before it failed versus, say, a regular subdivision, having a situation where you had storage units, the potential traffic is going to be very minimal compared to what you would normally have.
Absolutely. I read a lot of studies where if there's 63 apartment complexes in an area, they have between 700 and 900 round trips a day going into that. And I read another study through BYU University where they had 500 units of storage units, and they had between 7 and 9 round trip visits a day during that. So there's a significant drop in traffic use for that. So.
Great. Any questions for Mr. Berry?
Your Honor.
Councilman Robinson.
Is there anything in your plan regarding some type of aesthetics? So when the people are driving up through the area, they're not looking at just a bunch of storage units, any type of fencing, that.
Yes, so in the city code, the chain link fence would have to have a privacy fence through it. So it would have the slats through it, so it wouldn't be visible around it. So we are going to do just 1-story buildings. We're not going to do multiple story buildings. So it would be, you basically just see and then we do the type 3 metal buildings as well. So they'd be powder coated and everything like that. So there would be a secure fence all around the whole thing with the privacy slats in it.
Okay, thanks.
What would the height of those buildings be?
So they're going to vary between, we don't have a set height on them, but we're not going to go over 18 feet on the height of the buildings.
Okay, any other questions? Okay, thank you, Mr. Berry. Appreciate your comments. We're going to move on to regular petition section of our agenda. I would ask if there is anyone here tonight wishing to address the council on any issue whatsoever. This is your time to do so. Please come on up to the mic, state your name for the record. Anyone? Going once? Going twice? Going to close the petition section of our agenda. We're going to move on to the officers and staff reports. We still have a lot of work to get done here. We have item number 1, the health insurance fund recap of April 2022, and we also have the financial report summary for April of 2022. Councilors, I'd entertain a motion to approve the officers and staff reports and place on file.
So moved, Your Honor.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second's been called. All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay. Next, we're going to move on to the council committee and board reports. Councilors, we have item number 1, the Rock Springs Historical Museum Board meeting minutes of April 13th, 2022. And I would ask if there are any other reports that wish to come forward at this time. You can sure do so. If not, I'd entertain a motion to approve the council committee and board reports in place on file.
Your Honor, so moved.
We do have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second's been called. All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Moving on to correspondence, councilors, we have 2 items there. If you have questions, feel free to bring them up. If not, I would entertain a motion to approve the correspondence and place on file.
So moved, Your Honor.
We do have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second has been called. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, this is going to move us on to the bills and claims section of our agenda. Item number 1 is the bills and claims for May 17, 2022. What's your pleasure?
Your Honor,
Councilwoman Demus?
I make a motion to approve the bills and claims for May 17th, 2022.
We do have a motion to approve the bills and claims for May 17, 2022. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second's been called. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Abstained.
Let the record show. That's got to be the best baby. I mean, we've been here for an hour and a half, and
I know.
is there any chance she wants to run for mayor? Looking for
Yeah.
candidates. Item number 2 is salaries for May 6, 2022. Councilors, what's your pleasure?
Your Honor,
Councilwoman Demus.
I make a motion to approve the salaries for May 6th, 2022.
We have a motion to approve the salaries for May 6, 2022. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second's been called. All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay, we're going to move on to new business, councilors. And item number 1 is a request from the fire department for permission to apply for a state Homeland Security Preparedness Grant through the Wyoming Office of Homeland Security to upgrade fire communications equipment and to install a generator at Fire Station 3 in the amount of $208,615.87. What's your pleasure?
Your Honor.
Councilman Batolo?
I move to approve this request.
We have a motion to approve. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second's been called. All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay, and item number 2 is a request from the police department for an approval of sale of public property, which includes a 2010 Ford Explorer K-9 unit to be sold to the Shoshone Police Department in the amount of $4,500. Councilors, what's your pleasure?
Your Honor,
Mr. President,
move to approve this request.
we do have a motion to approve this request. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second's been called. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Item number 3 is a request from the police department for permission to apply for the 2023 Highway Safety Grant to provide funding for overtime enforcement of occupant protection and for overtime DUI enforcement. Councilors, what's your pleasure?
Your Honor,
Councilwoman Demus?
I make a motion to approve this request.
We do have a motion to approve this request. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second's been called. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Item number 4 is a request from the police department for permission to apply for the bulletproof vest grant. Councilors, what's your pleasure?
Your Honor,
Councilman Savage?
I move to approve this request.
We do have a motion to honor this request. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second's been called. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Item number 5 is a request from the IT department for approval of 2 quotes from 42U DirectNet for repairs to the city's server system totaling $90,059.21. Councilors, what's your pleasure?
Your Honor.
Councilman Halter?
Move to approve that request.
We do have a motion to honor this request. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second's been called. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Item number 6, request from the Rock Springs Chamber of Commerce for permission to use the Chamber Park for various summer events. Councilors, what's your pleasure?
Your Honor,
Councilman Demas?
I make a motion to approve this request.
We do have a motion to honor this request. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second's been called. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Item number 7 is a request from the Boys and Girls Club of Sweetwater County for a road closure to include North Front Street from the Park Hotel to K Street, including the North Front parking lot, and allowing open containers for alcoholic beverages through the closure area and down J Street for the annual Rods and Rails Car Show on June 18th, 2022, from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. Councilors, what's your pleasure?
Your Honor,
Councilman Patolo?
move to approve this request.
We do have a motion to honor this request. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second's been called. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Councilman Robinson, you going to be there?
I plan to be if I make it back from vacation.
Oh, well, you're going to have to leave your vehicle with us.
I'll take it.
You'll wash and wax it.
Yeah.
Sure.
Item
Get the dents
number,
out. Scratch
Right,
it.
the dents.
yeah.
Take it to the repairs.
8 is a request from the Poorhouse Saloon for permission to extend their serving area for the annual Heiner Poker Run event on June 4th, 2022, from 9 a.m. until bar closing hours. Councilors, what's your pleasure?
Your Honor,
Councilman Hicks?
I move to approve this request.
We do have a motion to honor this request. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second's been called. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, councilors, we're going to move on to resolutions at this time. We have 10 on the list to do. Item number 1, the resolution 2022-54 was tabled at May 3rd meeting. With that, I'd entertain a motion to remove it from the table.
Your Honor,
Councilman Zadi?
I'd move to remove Resolution 2022-54 from the table.
We do have a motion to remove 2022-54 from the table. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second's been called. Roll call.
Councilor Demas,
Yes.
Robinson,
Yes.
Halter,
Yes.
Batolo,
Yes.
Savage,
Yes.
West,
Yes.
Hickerson,
Yes.
Zadi,
Yes.
Mayor Como.
Say no just to throw a wrench in the works.
I'm not, Mr. President, before we move it any further, I'm going to remove myself from this room and take a break. Could you please take over?
Yes, sir.
And I have to remove myself because the engineering firm that I work with has given that. So we don't want to go down that road.
No.
Mayor Como has recused himself from the vote for the purpose of his engineering firm providing the calculations on this request. So with that, Resolution 2022-54 has been removed from the table, and it is now back up for vote on 2022-54.
You want me to read it?
Yeah.
A resolution accepting and approving a communication site lease agreement with Union Telephone Company and authorizing Timothy A. Como as mayor of the city of Rock Springs to execute said lease on behalf of the city of Rock Springs.
Councilors, what's your pleasure?
Mr. President, I
Councilor
vote
Hickerson.
to approve Resolution 2022-54.
We have a motion by Councilor Hickerson. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Councilor Halter. Roll call, please.
Councilor Robinson,
Yes.
Halter,
Yes.
Batolo,
Yes.
Savage,
Yes.
West,
No.
Hickerson,
Yes.
Zadi,
Yes.
Demas.
No.
And we will invite the mayor back in to continue on with Resolution 2022-56.
Just head over to Square State.
Missed a good time.
Okay, moving on to item number 2, Resolution 2022-56.
A resolution accepting and approving a community enhancement grant from the Sweetwater County Conservation District and the City of Rock Springs, and authorizing Timothy A. Como as mayor of the City of Rock Springs, Wyoming, to execute said grant on behalf of said city.
Councilman, what's your pleasure?
Your Honor,
Councilwoman Demas.
I make a motion to approve Resolution 2022-56.
Councilors, we do have a motion to approve Resolution 2022-56. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second's been called. Roll call.
Councillor Halter,
Yes.
Batolo,
Yes.
Savage,
Yes.
West,
Yes.
Hickerson,
Yes.
Zadi,
Yes.
Demus,
Yes.
Robinson,
Yes.
Mayor Como.
Yes. Item number 3, Resolution 2022-57.
A resolution accepting and approving a service agreement with Merchant McIntyre Associates LLC, a Delaware limited liability company, and authorizing and directing Timothy A. Como as mayor of the city of Rock Springs, Wyoming, and Matthew L. McBurnett as city clerk of the city of Rock Springs to execute said agreement on behalf of the city.
Councilors, what's your pleasure?
Your Honor,
Councilman Zadi?
I want to thank Matt for his work on this and helping out, and really trying to get us the help we need to go after some of the grants that are available. I think the service will be invaluable to us in the future, so I do appreciate everything you've done there. And I'd like to make a motion to approve 2022-57.
Absolutely. We do have a motion to approve Resolution 2022-57. Do we have a second?
Second.
Yes.
Second's been called. Roll call.
Councillor Batolo,
Yes.
Savage,
Yes.
West,
Yes.
Hickerson,
Yes.
Zadi,
Yes.
Demus,
Yes.
Robinson,
Yes.
Halter,
Yes.
Mayor Como.
Yes. Item number 4, Resolution 2022-58.
A resolution approving a public parking space lease agreement with the City of Rock Springs and Bitter Creek Brewing LLC to provide for the placement of an outdoor dining area in one parking space located adjacent to its establishment.
Councilors, what's your pleasure?
Your Honor,
Councilman Hickerson?
I move to approve Resolution 2022-58.
We do have a motion to approve Resolution 2022-58. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second's been called. Roll call.
Councillor Savage,
No.
West,
Yes.
Hickerson,
Yes.
Zadi,
Yes.
Demus,
Yes.
Robinson,
Will it be crash proof?
No.
Yes.
Halter,
Yes.
Batolo,
Yes.
Mayor Como.
Yes. Okay. Item number 5, Resolution 2022-59. Councilors, I would entertain a motion to table this employee assistant program, being as we need to include the police department, the fire department. It's just not ready, is what I'm saying. And bring it back.
Your Honor,
Councilman, or President West?
move to table Resolution 2022-59.
We do have a motion to table Resolution 2022-59. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second has been called. Roll call on the table.
Councillor West,
Yes.
Hickerson,
Yes.
Zadi,
Yes.
Demus,
Yes.
Robinson,
Yes.
Halter,
Yes.
Batolo,
Yes.
Savage,
Yes.
Mayor Como.
Yes. And moving on to item number 6, Resolution 2022-60.
A resolution amending the official land use map of the Rock Springs Master Plan from I industrial to LDR low density residential for a parcel of land totaling 59.43 acres and located in all of the east half of Section 22, Township 19 North, Range 105 West, 6th Principal Meridian, and a tract of land located in number 20 of Section 22 Resurvey, Township 19 North, Range 105 West, 6th Principal Meridian in the city of Rock Springs, County of Sweetwater, state of Wyoming.
Councilors, what's your pleasure?
Your Honor,
Councilman Savage?
I move to approve Resolution 2022-60.
We do have a motion to approve Resolution 2022-60. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second's been called. Roll call.
Councillor Hickerson,
No.
Zadi,
No.
Demus,
No.
Robinson,
No.
Halter,
No.
Batolo,
No.
Savage,
Yes.
West,
No.
Mayor Como.
No. Therefore, the resolution does fail. The rezone does fail. I would like to reach out, our city planner, your staff, all the hard work. I appreciate that. I know it's frustrating. That's a lot of hard work, and I get that. It's, I sat in on many of those meetings, and you guys did a great job digging through the mess, trying to make it make sense. But obviously, there wasn't great support in throwing another residential area into a I-2. So thank you, Kathy. With that, we're going to move on to item number 8, Resolution 2022-62.
No.
Oh,
6-1.
6-1, I'm sorry. Item number 7, Resolution 2022-61. My apologies.
A resolution amending the official land use map of the Rock Springs Master Plan from HDR, High Density Residential, to C, Commercial, for a parcel of land totaling 14.470 acres and located in the northeast quarter of Section 27, Resurvey Township 19 North, Range 105 of the 6th Principal Meridian in the City of Rock Springs, County of Sweetwater, State of Wyoming.
Councilors, what's your pleasure?
Your Honor,
Councilman Patolo.
move to approve this resolution.
We do have a motion to approve this resolution. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second's been called. Roll call.
Councilor Zadi,
Had to do that, didn't you? I struggle with this one. I'm going to go yes.
Demus,
Yes.
Robinson,
Yes.
Halter,
Yes.
Patolo,
Yes.
Savage,
Yes.
West,
Yes.
Hickerson,
Yes.
Mayor Como.
Yes. That is due pass and is going to move us on to item number 8, Resolution 2022-62.
A resolution accepting and approving an agreement to purchase real property located along Sunset Drive from Nelson McThomas Investments, a Wyoming general partnership, for the sum of $225,000 for the purpose of handling solid waste from the wastewater treatment facility, and authorizing Timothy A. Como as mayor of the City of Rock Springs to execute said purchase agreement on behalf of the City of Rock Springs.
Mr. President,
You've done it again.
could you please take over? I have the legal description written for the land sale from my engineering firm. I will recuse myself. Let me get some exercise.
Oh, we're at number 8.
As long as we go.
Councilors, what's your pleasure on Resolution 2022-62?
Mr. President,
Councilor Demus.
I make a motion to approve Resolution 2022-62.
Councilor Demus has moved to approve. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Councilor Bartolo. Roll call, please.
Councilor Demus,
Yes.
Robinson,
Yes.
Halter,
Yes.
Patolo,
Yes.
Savage,
Yes.
West,
Yes.
Hickerson,
Yes.
Zadi.
Resolution 2022-62 passes unanimously. All this attention you're getting tonight, you'd think you'd be running for office again. Pictures, exercise.
Maybe he's running for something
I like
else.
that.
Did you say running from office? Thank you, Mr. President and councilors.
About the next one.
This is going to move us on to item number 9, Resolution 2022-63.
A resolution approving and accepting the final plat for Estates at Mustang Ridge, Phase 1 subdivision, a new residential subdivision within the corporate limits of the City of Rock Springs, Wyoming, covering a 15.609 acre tract of land situated in the south half of Section 21, 9-Ship 19 North, Range 105 west of the 6th Principal Meridian, Rock Springs, Sweetwater County, Wyoming.
Councilors, what's your pleasure?
Your Honor,
Councilwoman Demus?
I make a motion to approve Resolution 2022-63.
We do have a motion to approve Resolution 2022-63. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second's been called. Roll call.
Councillor Robinson,
Well, I'd prefer, being a Chevy guy, that it'd be called the Estates at Camaro Ridge. However, I'll say yes.
Halter,
Mustang Ridge.
Yes.
Patolo,
Yes.
Savage,
Yes.
West.
I just want to make a quick comment because there's been a lot of attention to this in regards to the flooding issues, and engineering staff has gone over it. To my understanding, this has been addressed, and while we can't plan for a 100 or 200 year flood, it's been explained to us as a governing body that in building this out in this subdivision, that issue has been covered, and it'll actually help, if not make it worse, by installing the subdivision. So we've received a few emails, a few letters that it's going to make it worse. I think, engineering staff has informed us that a lot of the sheet flow from the storm actually came from this property and not necessarily that from the mountain like we maybe originally thought. So there will be a couple detention ponds that are put in phase one. I think a third later on in the phasing of this. So as far as that issue, it sounds like it's been addressed. So with that, I'm a yes.
Hickerson,
Yes.
Zadi,
Yes.
Demus,
Yes.
Mayor Como.
I'm going to make some comments as well. We've heard a lot of comments back and forth through P&Z and the like over this issue. I have discussed this numerous times with engineering, and who did assure me that it will not increase the flows into our system. Yet I'm extremely reluctant and to vote in favor of this subdivision just because of past history. There was some time ago in a recent subdivision where we did have to meet with the contractor to discuss drainage, of all things, drainage issues that were not done at the time of lots being sold. And lo and behold, when this event did come through, several of those basements did flood. And of course, that was a large event and it was destined to probably flood anyway. But I would just suggest as we move down this road, because I already see piles of dirt being piled up on that property, of which I know they do not have a permit, that rules are rules, and all the hard work that your staff has done to monitor this situation, that I hope the contractor and the engineer follows through with, because this is a very sensitive situation and the fingers will be pointed directly back at the city should we have another event or a catastrophe. It's taken quite some time to get here. And I believe we do need residential housing, yet I'm very cautious over past history of subdivision development, and some individuals in the Gunside area who are still today left with issues of sunken roads and sidewalks and drainage issues that we had to deal with all the way through construction. Therefore, I'm going to be a no vote on this. I think we do need the lots, but I just don't know that that it'll happen. Therefore, I don't support the subdivision.
It passed.
Okay, so with that, we're on Resolution 2022-64 from the Housing Authority.
A resolution authorizing and directing Timothy A. Como, mayor, acting in his capacity as chairman of the Housing Board, to accept and approve a change order from DJ's Glass Plus, Inc. for the Rock Springs Housing Authority.
Councilors, what's your pleasure?
Your Honor,
Councilman Savage.
I move to approve Resolution 2022-64.
We do have a motion to approve Resolution 2022-64. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second's been called. Roll call.
Councillor Halter,
Yes.
Patolo,
Yes.
Savage,
Yes.
West,
Yes.
Hickerson,
Yes.
Zadi,
Yes.
Demus,
Yes.
Robinson,
Yes.
Mayor Como.
Yes. Councilors, this is going to move us on to our ordinance section of our agenda. Item number.
Hunter?
Yes.
I'm sorry, but I do have a question just since, before we move on to ordinances. On your comments, and I'm confused a little bit on, if I were a property owner, just for my own knowledge here, I own property and I want to put dirt on it, I have to get a permit? Is that,
Yes,
is there, okay, I didn't know.
absolutely. That's exactly where we just got sideways with the land above the belt route where they were started to, the contractor had intervened and started to capture all the dirt out of the Bitter Creek, and you've seen all the new dirt that was piled up there, thousands of cubic yards of dirt up by the horse corrals.
Okay.
And the city has to know, first off, where did the dirt come from, but they also have to have a drainage plan and all the other thing that goes into engineering. So yes, if you're going to pile that amount of dirt on your property, you do have to come in and talk to engineering.
I could see grading and developing in that, but I didn't know if I wanted to pile dirt on it.
Your
So that kind
Honor,
of surprised me. I
It
didn't know.
would, normally, it does require, depending on how much dirt.
Just how much, okay.
but, you know, what the quantity is, but it does require a fill permit, essentially. So you don't grade it or add dirt that
Right.
causes adverse effects to adjacent property. That sort
Expansive
of thing. And
soils.
It should be placed as controlled fill, so it should be tested and compacted and that sort of thing, and so that's all regulated. In
Yep.
this case, I don't know who's been dumping dirt, I'm assuming, you know, from some of the housing developments, they've been taking the excess dirt over there, but, yeah, he was informed not to do that, but has continued to do it, I believe.
Okay, thanks.
This is what my concern was about rules. It's all fine and dandy if they follow your guidance, and if they don't, then the problems begin.
So why didn't we shut them down?
On which one?
Well, I mean, if they're not permitted to be dumping over there, why haven't we intervened?
I believe we have intervened, and he continues to do it, from what it sounds like.
They were instructed to stop, and then, you know, if it would have continued, we would have, I guess without this being approved, we would have gone through the legal process, just like we did with the other property owner, and have them comply, but, we didn't get that far along in the process yet. And now, essentially, it's somewhat not necessary.
So that was my comments, and recently in the Gunside area, when they started building those homes, they specifically on the plat had requirements to build retaining walls, which didn't happen. And before they sold lots, they sold several lots and began to develop housing. And Paul and I actually had to sit down and call him in and discuss how we could keep him going and still have him fix and protect people's properties, all the while he was starting to build towards requirements of final plat that were never met. So that's why those requirements are in there. But nonetheless, we'll see.
They should be followed, and
Yeah.
you should hold the OC or whatever it takes to get it done right. I mean, there's
Yes.
a reason they're there, so I'm
I believe
confused
that's,
on the enforcement of it.
I believe that's where it came to, was on an OC request, from what I remember. And we wouldn't issue the OC just because of the retaining walls. Okay, back to ordinances, councilors. We have item number 1, ordinance 2022-04, which was tabled. And I want to be specifically and transparently clear that the city council is not opposed to recycling in any way, shape, or form. But I am going to suggest and request that this ordinance be removed from the table and acted on accordingly, because we simply just are not at the point where we're ready for this ordinance. Based on some comments received from the collection people, Devin with the recycling center, I feel that it's necessary to take this off, act on it, and if it does in fact fail, we can easily bring it back when they have received the grants and they have the equipment ordered, and we have a better understanding of when this date of effectiveness will take place. So, councilors, I would entertain a motion to remove ordinance 2022-04 from the table. Councilman Zadi?
I'd like to make that motion with a comment too, and just echo what you had said and what I had said last week, that I do think the support is there and the intent is there to move forward. We just kind of got the cart before the horse on this one, and we need to have a few things fall in place. So with that, I do make a motion to remove it from the table.
We do have a motion to remove ordinance 2022-04 from the table. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second's been called. A roll call.
Councilor Batolo,
Yes.
Savage,
Yes.
West,
Yes.
Hickerson,
Yes.
Zadi,
Yes.
Demus,
Yes.
Robinson,
Yes.
Halter,
Yes.
Mayor Como.
Yes. And with that, ordinance 2022-04, third reading.
An ordinance amending Article 4.2 of the ordinances of the City of Rock Springs entitled Garbage Collection and establishing a citywide disposable waste recycling program.
Councilors, third reading. What's your pleasure?
Your Honor,
Mr. President,
move to approve ordinance 2022-04.
we do have a motion to approve resolution 2022-04. Now, everybody understands the direction we're taking.
I second that.
You have a second. We have a second. Roll call.
Councilor Savage,
Unbelievable. No.
West,
No.
Hickerson,
No.
Zadi,
No.
Demus,
No.
Robinson,
No.
Halter,
No.
Patolo,
No.
Mayor Como.
No. As mentioned before, we will bring this ordinance back up when we're closer to that effective date and act on it accordingly. Item number 2, ordinance 2022-06 on third reading.
An ordinance creating Article 1111 Clarity Telecom LLC Vast Broadband Franchise within Chapter 11 Franchises and Rights of Way of the ordinances of the City of Rock Springs, Wyoming.
Councilors, third reading. What's your pleasure?
Your Honor,
Mr.
I've
President.
got a quick question. Forgive me, I can't remember your name. Do you mind coming to the podium just so you can clarify? I had a constituent reach out to me in regards to this that was excited about the implementation of fiber, but they were curious on, we'd be granting for the right-of-ways, but what is your guys' plan or your history of getting it to the home? And how does that work? Is that a cost share with you and the homeowner, or how does that become implemented?
Sure. So yeah, typically we deal with the easements, and then depending on the area, also with the aerial, working with the local power company to make that work. And then from there, we just get approval from the owner to run it to the house, if that answers your question.
So those are all aerial, is what you're saying?
No, generally each city is about 50-50.
Okay. So you're just tying off.
Yeah.
Makes sense. That's all I had. Sorry.
Interesting.
Who actually owns, do you own the line then from the property line into the house? You still retain the ownership of that line?
Yes.
Okay. Just want to make sure we're on the same page. Any other questions? Third reading, did we have a motion, a second?
No, we don't, but I'll go ahead and move to approve ordinance 2022-06.
We do have a motion to approve ordinance 2022-06. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second's been called. Roll call.
Councilor West,
Yes.
Hickerson,
Yes.
Zadi,
Yes.
Demus,
Yes.
Robinson,
Yes.
Halter,
Yes.
Patolo,
Yes.
Savage,
Yes.
Mayor Como.
Yes. Item number 3, ordinance 2022-07, first reading.
An ordinance amending the official zoning map of the city of Rock Springs from I-2 heavy industrial to the zoning designation of R3 medium density residential, a parcel of land totaling 59.43 acres and located in all of the east half of Section 22, Township 19 North, Range 105 West, 6th Principal Meridian, and a tract of land located in number 20 of Section 22, resurvey of Township 19 North, Range 105 West, 6th Principal Meridian, in the city of Rock Springs, County of Sweetwater, State of Wyoming.
Item number 4, ordinance 2022-08, first reading.
An ordinance amending the official zoning map of the city of Rock Springs from R3 medium density residential to the zoning designation of B2 CD Community Business District Conditional District, a parcel of land totaling 14.470 acres and located in Section 27 resurveyed Township 19 North, Range 105 West of the 6th Principal Meridian in the city of Rock Springs, County of Sweetwater, State of Wyoming.
Item number 5, ordinance 2022-09, first reading.
An ordinance amending Article 1.7 entitled Council Meetings, Order of Business, Rules and Committees of the Ordinances of the City of Rock Springs, whereas the governing body of the City of Rock Springs desires to modify Article 1.7 entitled Council Meetings, Order of Business, Rules and Committees, Section 1701, 1703, 1704, 1707 of the ordinances of the City of Rock Springs for the purpose of updating and clarifying the governing body's procedural rules.
Could you repeat that one? Councilors, with no further business to come before this city council, this meeting